Hidden gems. Who doesn't love a hidden gem? A secret place with a lot of benefits that almost no one talks about. Well, today we have one for you. It's Uruguay. Entonces, adelante. Hablemos de Uruguay. Let's go. Buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenos días. Hello, everyone. This is Javier Correa, Research and Development Associate from Nomad Capitalist, coming to you live from Latin America. And today we're going to talk about the hidden gem of Uruguay. Now, the reason why we want to talk about Uruguay is, first of all, who doesn't love a hidden gem? It's beautiful, it's secret, and you can take full advantage of it, and it can be sort of your secret weapon in this international environment. Now, why do I believe Uruguay is interesting? So, number one, let's start with a bit of context. So Uruguay is a country located in South America, just north of Argentina. Very interesting tax system, semi-territorial. And the reason why I call it semi-territorial is that unlike a Panama or a Costa Rica, you will notice that Uruguay usually only taxes income that is sourced in Uruguay. However, under certain circumstances, it may tax certain foreign income. So do keep in mind there is a bit more tax planning involved when it comes to relocating to Uruguay as opposed to a Panama or a Costa Rica, for instance, but still a very interesting place. In the broader scheme of things, here at Nomad, we always emphasize that it is important to qualify and to basically take into consideration the entire tax quadrant, which is where am I located and where is my business located. I can have a beautiful offshore structure, but if I'm personally tax resident in a country that has terrible controlled foreign corporation rules, that has very strict permanent establishment rules, or that overall just taxes me on my worldwide income in a very aggressive manner, then that beautiful offshore structure is going to have just limited impact at best, and in the worst case scenario might be just completely useless entirely. And this is where Uruguay comes in. It might be an interesting place to set up a company. It's certainly an exotic place to set up an offshore company. Some of our clients have done it, very few, but it is worth considering, especially if you're going to do business in and around Latin America. So one of the virtues of being a semi-territorial tax system is that obviously if you have a company in Uruguay, very similar to if you have a company in Panama, provided that the income is foreign source, then you could potentially retain earnings or obtain earnings in a Uruguayan company tax-free. That is interesting to look at. However, the main reason why I believe Uruguay is a hidden gem you should consider is more on the personal side. So if you decide to relocate to Uruguay and become a tax resident of Uruguay, if you're a new arrival, you will be given a choice, basically like Morpheus and Neo, the red pill, the blue pill, except that here, both choices are actually pretty cool. So the first choice is an 11-year tax holiday. How cool is that? You come into a country and to basically celebrate that you've become a tax resident, they're giving you an 11-year tax holiday in which all of your foreign source income will be completely tax-free. You heard it right. 11 years completely tax-free foreign sourced income in Uruguay. So why is this significant? Well, mainly because, as I mentioned before, Uruguay operates a semi-territorial tax system where certain foreign income might still generate a taxable event in Uruguay. But for those 11 years, you have a fully territorial tax system, meaning that if you have a big investment portfolio. My stock friends, again, I know you guys are out there. If you invest in the S&P 500, the FTSE 100, you have your crypto, you have your investments around the world, then definitely this tax holiday is something you should look at. So that's option number one. Option number two is a very interesting option, especially if you're thinking long term. So under option number two, Uruguay will essentially leave most of your foreign income alone. So that's already pretty good. Again, semi-territorial tax system. But on the foreign income it does tax, it gives you a 7% rate. Listen to this, in perpetuity. How good does that sound? So basically you're a new arrival, and as a gift, as a concession, because you are coming into Uruguay as a new tax resident, you get to enjoy a 7% tax rate on the foreign income that Uruguay does tax until you decide to cease to be a Uruguayan tax resident. Now, admittedly, 7% is not zero, and I know some of my audience out there, I know some of my former clients that watch these videos are going to say, Javier, no way am I going to go for option number two. I'm going to go for option number one because I want that absolute zero tax. And listen, that's fair, but some of our clients really want to relocate to a place where they can, have roots, where they can have a family, where they can really dedicate themselves to building a new home in this new country. And having that 7% tax rate until basically the end of days might be a very interesting thing to look at. In addition to that, Uruguay has very limited controlled foreign corporation rules. So before you get scared, yes, it is true, there are certain controlled foreign corporation rules in Uruguay, but number one, if you have a Uruguayan holding company, those do not apply to you. So basically, corporations have no CFC rules. Individuals do, but they are very limited in their scope. So largely speaking, when you compare those CFC rules to a place like the United States, like the UK or any other major European country or even Canada, then those CFC rules are basically a walk in the park. You won't have to worry about major income inclusions in Uruguay. On top of that, other benefits of relocating to Uruguay obviously is the culture. So as I mentioned before, very close to Argentina, great wine. In fact, I'm a huge fan of one of their grapes, the Taná, excellent wine. If you're a wine fan, definitely that region, Uruguay, Argentina, definitely a must go. Honestly, as I mentioned before, I love wine, and the combination of wine and good steak is basically unbeatable, and that's what you're gonna find in that region of Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, down there in the deep south of South America. And listen, that lifestyle could definitely be yours. In addition to that, Montevideo is a very international city with expat communities from around the world in the city, but it is also a very calm city. So if you want more of that laid back lifestyle, you wanna ride your bicycle around, you want to enjoy a great lifestyle, but you maybe don't want the hustle and bustle of a London or a New York or a Miami, especially if you're in that around the Brickell area, then definitely Montevideo is a place that you could consider. In addition to that, Uruguay offers you tax residence in a very simplified and very straightforward manner. Now, Uruguay has a ton of options for tax residence, which is absolutely great. I'm not gonna go through all of them today because there are so many of them. It really merits a video in of itself, but I would like to highlight that by purchasing a home in Uruguay worth around $500,000, a bit more at today's exchange rate, and spending around 60 days in the country, you can become a tax resident of Uruguay. And the reason why I'm actually highlighting this option out of all of those that exist is because I know that a lot of you out there listening to this video, you guys want to travel around. You guys want to spend time in Europe. You guys potentially want to spend some time in the United States. Again, provided that you don't go over that limit that triggers a substantial presence test. You want to go to Asia. And Uruguay is a great country that allows you to do that. It's a very serious tax residence of a country that is not blacklisted, a very formal, institutionalized, well-developed country in Latin America that'll give you tax residence, just by spending 60 days in the country and investing into a local property, and it will allow you to travel the world. So how cool is that? It's an excellent opportunity and an excellent option for those of you who want to live nomadically or semi-nomadically. Now, obviously, this does come with a lot of planning involved, so don't just go to Uruguay, buy a property, spend 60 days, and then go and spend 180 days in Spain or in the United States. And this is where Nomad's expertise can come in. So if you want to make sure that you're tax compliant in Uruguay and you're tax compliant in the US, in Europe, in Thailand, Malaysia, or wherever it is you want to spend time in, make sure you trust the experts. Go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, tell us about your situation, and let us guide you to make sure that you take full advantage of all the countries that you want to visit, spend time in, invest in, or just be exposed to overall. So remember, nomadcapitalist.com/apply, book your appointment today, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Hasta la próxima.